Wagwan, everybody. Lennox here from Simple 123 Trader. Hope everybody's doing well and are safe. This is a weekly outlook for the futures for the week of November 7th to November 12th. I'm going to take a look at some of the futures, currencies, indices, Forex, pairs. Okay, starting off at Australian dollar. Um, Overall, the trajectory for Australian dollar is still to the downside, looking for continued movements down. And this is a weekly. So last week I called for a continued movement down, and of course we're still in that trajectory. So still looking for more movements to the downside. Of course, short term we could get a little bit of a bounce, but overall we'll be continuing back down and to continue the trend, right? So that's Aussie. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. And on the weekly, Bitcoin breaking to new highs this week. Well, breaking to new highs again this week, but still trying to reach its previous high, and looking pretty strong right now. Like it might just do that, but again, be careful. This might be just a huge fake out move, and we could see this hitting resistance. We're right at resistance right now, so we could see pullbacks on Bitcoin, but looking pretty strong at this moment in time. So I'm not going to bet against it totally, because there's a lot of strength there. So we could see price firing straight through and making a move, something like this in the short term. Okay, so strength in Bitcoin going into this week, and we can just take a look at Ethereum to see how that is shaping up. So Ethereum on the weekly, it's still in the struggle mode. You can see it. We're still sideways. So I'm not really looking at this one to move to the upside with any strength at this point. So it's not really in tandem with Bitcoin. It's doing its own thing in this range. So we could see a further pullback to the downside in the short term this week. All right, looking at the US dollar. Let's take a look at the US dollar. I'm just going to jump around a little bit and take a look at different things. The US dollar controls Euro, US dollar, GBP, US dollar, Aussie, US dollar, USD CAD, USD JPY, USD Swiss. So whatever the US dollar is doing, we can make a good assessment of what the others will be doing. So on the weekly time frame, US dollar is sitting at a resistance area right away, and has been in a strong move to the upside, and looks like it wants to push through this area, but right now we're in the resistance area. So that's the key takeaway. So might be a bit of a battle to break through, and you can see already we've had a breach, but very short-lived, and we're back down again. So we could see further moves back down before we get another challenge of the previous highs. So cautionary in the U.S. dollar. So that would be also cautionary in the others. If I look at euro, for instance, euro U.S. dollar. So the euro. Let's see if I can find the euro on here. This is the euro here. Okay, so euro would be the opposite. So you can see we've kind of reached the support area. We've broken through, but are we going to continue down, or are we going to get a pullback first? So this is the key takeaway, similar to what the US dollar is doing. We could see a pullback on the euro in the short term this week before we continue the trajectory. We might even actually let me just draw that again. We might actually retrace this entire move back up into this area before we continue the downward trend, because we are in a downward trend. Okay, so we can break to the upside a little bit, but so U.S. dollar strength would would continue euro weakness, and US dollar weakness would give euro strength. All right. Let's take a look at gold. Gold is has come down to a previous support and resistance area. Very strong. We can see we got some tails and they got some rejections. 3 times we came in there and nothing's happened. Now we bounced off with strength and pull back, and now we're looking to breach, but we're again back at a pretty strong resistance support area. And so the key here is, are we going to break through to the upside this week? It looks pretty strong, but we are, again, in a very strong resistance area. So we could see further move. We could also see a push up and then a pull back before we get that move. So be aware of that as well on gold. All right, let's take a look at the Japanese yen. And on the weekly, Japanese yen has been quite a tailspin. Let me go to the monthly on this one just to see overall what it's doing. So on the monthly, yeah, you can see Japanese yen. We draw a trend line here. We've broken through, we've retested, and we're on our way down. So we could get a pullback first, but we're still going to be pushing to the downside. So weakness in the Japanese yen going into, so you can see that it's very weak. So any moves to the upside would be opportunities to buy into any moves to the upside. Okay, or sorry, to sell into any moves. So any moves to the upside would be opportunities to sell to the downside. Okay, that's the Japanese yen. Let's take a look at silver. Okay, silver on the weekly. It too, similar to gold, has hit a pretty strong support area, has bounced to the upside, looking to breach through this area here. So it too, like gold, is looking like it's poised for a big move to the upside. But in the first instance, what I'm seeing is we could get a pullback before we get that move. So something like that would set up, and we're off to the races in silver. Taking a look at the S&P 500. Okay, and like from last week, I pointed out that we were going to break to new highs, and indeed we have. And so we're still moving in with lots of vigor here to the upside. So right now, very small little setback there, but we're still pushing. But this is getting long in the tooth, so I'm a bit leery of continued strength. It's getting, you can see the candles are getting smaller and smaller. This is one of the takeaways. We get very large candles down here, large candles, and now they're starting to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So it gets to a point where you get one spike and then all bets are off. So be aware of that sequence of events that can unfold. One of the stronger indices is the Russell 2000, the S&P or the US 2000, and it has just broken out of a very strong choppy sideways area and looks to be heading up with vigor to the upside here. So looking good for the smaller mid-size companies. And then going into this week, still lots of strength in here to the upside. So liking that index. Okay, let's take a look at U.S. Technology Group on the weekly. It too broke to new highs. So it's similar to U.S. 500 and the Dow, both breaking to new highs and pushing. But again, you can see the candles are also getting smaller. So be aware of that on that. Dow is a similar, same type of pattern as the S&P 500. So those are the big boys. A look at, let's see, the British pound. Let's take a look at the British pound. Wow, there is a chart. Okay, so on the weekly, last week again, I pointed out that we were at this base, and we're looking for a move to the upside. Didn't expect that kind of a move, but the news, interest rates news in Britain caused this dramatic move to the upside. That's just ridiculous. So not much to say about that. All right, it's just crazy stuff. And let's see, I've gone through most. Looked at Ethereum, Japanese yen. Looked at that. Litecoin. Let's take a look at Litecoin on the weekly, pushing very strongly to the upside right now. So I would, be looking for a continued strength in Litecoin for the foreseeable future here. All right, so that's a quick look at all that's setting up. I didn't take a look at oil. Let me do that real quick. Oil still very strong, pushing still to the upside. So I'm not going to be betting against oil. It's still very strong, and any pullbacks like we had, opportunities to buy into oil to the upside. So the overall structure here is that move taking us to the upside. All right, so that's a look at the futures indices and for Forex. So profitable trading to everyone. Again, be safe. We're done now. Thank you.